China has begun lifting travel restrictions in Hubei province, the worst hit area by the novel coronavirus outbreak in the country, as the number of new cases is continuing to drop. Wang Bingju, the Deputy Director of Hubei's Transportation Department, made the announcement at a press briefing in Wuhan, the capital of the province. Wang said that Hubei will ease travel restrictions starting on Wednesday. On the 23rd of January, Wuhan declared unprecedented traffic restrictions, including suspending the city's public transport and all outbound flights and trains in an attempt to contain the epidemic within its territory. Now, similar restrictions were soon introduced in other areas of Hubei. Well, China-based South African teacher Mbalenhle Soni is on Skype to give us the latest from Yinchuan City, Ningxia province of China. She is on Skype. Mbalenhle, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Globe.
Good evening.
First of all, take us through how the situation is like there in China, particularly for foreign nationals living and working in China.
Okay, well, currently the situation here is that all the restrictions have been lifted, so everybody can move around. But for foreigners, it's a little bit harder because the epidemic is rife, as we know, in the foreign countries. So we basically have to carry around like health checks, to go into malls, to go into parks, because at the moment, China just thinks that every foreigner just came back and we have the virus. So for us, it's actually a little bit harder because we have to carry around like identification to get into places.
Well, of all the South Africans that have been evacuated from Wuhan, you chose to stay over. Why?
Okay, so I was meant to come back in February, but then I canceled my flights to South Africa because as I was reading up in the news, the information was telling us that we need to avoid large crowds, we need to avoid gatherings, and an airport was basically a place that had large crowds. So I just took the decision that I don't want to put myself at risk, and then I canceled coming back and basically was under lockdown in China for over 55 days.
And you understand that the lockdown has since been lifted. So just how is daily life in China like for you?
Okay. Well, currently, since last week, Monday, all the malls, restaurants have been open. So we are now able to move around. People have gone back to work. And the only thing now that needs to open is the schools. So they're just introducing one grade at a time for students to go back. So life is definitely getting back to normal and everybody seems to be in a better mood. But the thing is that wherever we go, they still like police presence, they still checking people's like identities and all that to just make sure. And also when we are moving around and accessing places, we get temperature checks and we need to sign in each and every place.
You know, some of the South Africans based in China that we've been chatting to over the past few days say that the quarantine conditions there are absolutely terrible. So did you find the same conditions when you got there?
Well, for me, I was basically quarantined at home. So I wasn't in a quarantine facility. So I was at home from the 21st of January. So being at home, it was only like supermarkets that were open. And we could only go out maybe every few days. I didn't experience the terrible part of it because my province was actually sending us fruits, sending us vegetables. So I didn't experience that part.
So do we know if there are any reported cases of infections in China? Or at least where you are?
Yeah, so where I am, we've had about 17 days of no new cases. And I know that Wuhan last week had like, I think the last case. So that is currently the situation that the virus is fully contained here. But then the cases that are being reported are imported cases. So people coming into China from overseas are now the ones who are basically testing positive for the virus, not people within mainland China.
All right, Mbali, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. That was China-based South African English teacher Mbalenhle Soni joining us via Skype.